Well, welcome to another Chad Tim Show, and this is our first remote recording show.
It's a very historic day.
Very historic. And go ahead and explain why we're doing a remote record today.
It's a very historic day because it's our first remote show. Out of the two shows, this being the second show, it's a huge achievement for us, being so technically inclined. But today, we're going to a beach somewhere in Florida to hopefully see the launch of Elon Musk's SpaceX Falcon heavy rocket.
Wow. This is a first. This is like, were we invited by Elon Musk to this event?
We were invited to go to any anonymous beach in Florida to view the launch, yes.
Okay, well, there you go.
Any anonymous public beach, there we go.
He left it up to our choice of where to record the event from. That is nice of him.
He's a very magnanimous man.
And how many thousands of dollars have we invested in this remote recording location?
I think total round-trip cost is going to equate to about $3 in gas.
Oh, and the drive-through menu? What about the drive-through menu?
Well, I was smart. I ate before I left home.
Okay, so we don't have to put out $1, $2, or $3 for the dining budget.
That's just for the gas budget,
Yeah, $3. All right.
Right.
So people are being treated to a very, very efficiently run, frugal, monumental historic event.
That's correct, Tim.
And is that why we are not allowed to work for the federal government?
I don't know if you're allowed to work for the federal government. I'm pretty sure I could work for the federal government if I could find a job I'm qualified for.
Well, that's true. I would never be allowed to work for the federal government. I forgot that. But yes. So have you seen any Falcons flying around in your location?
No, Tim, there's presently no Falcons on my road trip presently that I'm going to the beach. So hopefully we'll be getting there soon. It launches in about 45 minutes.
So what is being launched?
Well, it's going to be the maiden flight for Musk's Falcon rocket, which is his heavy payload rocket. And he's actually going to put a Tesla, or they have already in the payload, a Tesla car that they're going to launch into space in the general direction of Mars. They're even going to have a dummy in the car, so they say, a dummy in the car named Spaceman.
Wow. There's so much symbolism here. So is this the first Tesla version of a space Uber? Well, the Uber taxi, and so Spaceman will be this first Uber.
Uber, yeah. Yeah, I guess.
Because it's a Tesla. And we got Spaceman being the first space Uber.
Well, I suspect, Tim, though I don't know. I don't have any proof for this. I haven't seen anybody talk about it. But from what I understand, Musk is a fan of David Bowie. And I'm not going to be surprised if later they come out and say that Bowie was in the driver's seat of that Tesla.
Well, it does, Space Dummy and David Bowie, they're pretty close. I mean, it could just be one of those, interchangeable terms being used there.
Right. Well, hey, I think it would be awesome if they actually are taking the body of Bowie, putting him in that Tesla, and going to launch his ass into space. I mean,
are they going to drop him off on Mars and come back, or?
No, it's just from what I understand, the car is just being launched in the general direction. So basically, it's just going to probably escape Earth's gravity and go out into the solar system.
Well, the bigger pressing question on my mind is, where, with this much space travel, will the Tesla odometer change at all? So they won't have to roll back the odometer when they sell the Tesla when it comes back to Earth.
Don't think the Tesla's coming back to Earth, Tim. I think it's going to be gone.
So this is like the Tesla. Well, let's see. There was you remember when they sent the golden records to outer space?
Right, on Voyager 1 and 2.
Yeah, and so this is the Tesla's version of sending the records to the aliens?
No, I think Tesla is just flaunting his financial muscle, so to speak. Hey, look what I can do.
So that's what you do when you have billions of dollars and you don't know what to do. You launch a car into space.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Does he have like a long bucket list that he's checking off things?
You know, Tim, the man's a billionaire many times over, so I would guess that, if you're that kind of man, you're going to have a bucket list that's pretty long and has some probably very unique goals on that list.
Yeah, so he can dig up David Bowie and launch him into space in a Tesla car.
Yeah, hey, look, I don't know if that's true. I'm just saying it would be friggin' awesome. I think that would be the most awesome thing that Musk could do besides launching a Tesla into space.
Wow. Launching David Bowie and a Tesla at the same time into space.
Well, and Bowie was the spaceman, right?
Yes, he was. He was the spaceman. And I'm sure Bowie fans around the world are thrilled right now listening to you that their hero is now being launched in a Tesla.
Now, I'm not sure if our audience size is large enough to include one of the many, many millions of Bowie fans.
It is enormous. I mean, the many millions of Bowie fans are just a fraction of our audience,
Well,
so this is you, Bowie.
I'd be happy if our audience was Bowie fans.
I don't think they would understand us.
At least we would have an audience.
Oh, well, I'm sure now when we release this onto the Bowie rumor pages that we will have an audience of Bowie fans.
Yeah, we should do a social media blitz and just kind of put that bug in everybody's ear.
Yeah, why not? That would go over really well. I mean, Tesla launches Bowie into space. Details later.
Oh, you're our social media guy, man. Get to work.
All right. Well, I will say that. I will put out the little rumor. Was Spaceman actually Bowie?
Yeah.
Details at 11.
Well, I mean, dude, they're going to launch it to Bowie's music. You understand that, right? I mean, have you read anything about the launch yet?
No, sure. I'm relying on your expert perusal of all documents relating to Tesla's bucket list and the launching of his car into space.
Well, they're actually going to play Bowie's Space Odyssey while they launch that rocket.
Wow.
That's kind of why I'm thinking, maybe it's Bowie. Maybe they're actually putting Bowie in the space.
So should we get the bumper music for this launch, like Let's Dance, put on your dancing shoes and dance the blues?
I don't know if we have do we have permission to do that?
Well, we probably don't, but we probably don't have much permission for any of this.
I think as long as we play just a few seconds, I think we can skirt the Fair Use Act, right?
Right, as long as we do the voiceover for David Bowie. I'm sure a lot of people will unsubscribe, but it'll at least be genuine, Bowie.
Well, if Bowie is in that Tesla and on that rocket, they'll be sending him back to where he came from.
Yes, because we know David Bowie was not of this world. He definitely was not.
He was pretty out there, man. I like Bowie. I grew up listening to Bowie.
Yeah.
And it was a sad day when that man died.
Yeah. You're right. And now we're sending him back to where he came from in a Tesla.
And a Tesla.
Oh, wow. Who else is covering this kind of news? David Bowie sent home in a Tesla.
I'm just surprised I haven't actually seen that being posited out there that Bowie potentially on that rocket.
Don't worry, we'll put it out there. According to an anonymous source.
Considering how big conspiracy theories are these days, I am really surprised somebody hasn't really made that connection besides myself.
Oh, don't worry, I'm sure I will put it out there for you. And I'm sure the Bowieverse will be well aware that Bowie has left the planet in a Tesla.
Second here, I'm having to reverse
Are
traffic.
you being pulled over by the police?
No, Tim, no, just going through a roundabout.
Oh, okay. So there were no fences
stop signs.
were involved. No fences were involved then.
That roundabout had stop signs, dude.
Oh, okay.
Who the hell makes a roundabout with stop signs? It kind of like defeats the whole purpose of a roundabout. They might as well put traffic lights on it.
You're supposed to kind of like put like yield signs or that's the whole point of a roundabout.
Right. You're not supposed to actually have to stop if you don't need to.
So is this kind of like the morons version of a roundabout where you just have to,
Only in America would they make a roundabout and put stop signs.
So there's like 3 entrances with stop signs on it, and who knows when to enter the roundabout.
Exactly.
We can launch David Bowie into space in the Tesla, but we can't figure out a roundabout.
So, the Dow yesterday, it basically went down like 1,200 points at close.
Yeah, it absolutely did. And I was listening to, watching the business news right when it happened.
Well, I mean, was it quick? Because I didn't hear about it until, after the close.
Well, what they said was, there was like a blink of the eye. That's how fast it dropped 1,500 points. It like instantly went there.
1,500 points. I thought it was 1,200 points.
Well, it did 1,500 initially, but at the end of the day, it settled at 12. But the point was, they said it was like the blink of an eye that the computer algorithms kicked in and tanked the market instantly within a 10-minute time frame. And it was like you didn't even know what was going on. It jumped down so fast. So there was some kind of automatic computer selling that kicked in and totally tanked the market. And it was absolutely fascinating. And that's kind of where people are right now. They kind of just said it was the algorithms kicked in and they drove the market down.
Yeah.
So that's what people are trying to figure it out today, and it's bouncing around all day today because people are buying and selling and buying and selling. Every dip they're buying and selling.
Oh, is it up or down right now?
It's almost flat right now, but it started off 350 or so down. Yeah. Then it went up a couple hundred points over. So it's bouncing up and down all day today. So there's a lot of volatility because the people are profit taking. They're buying cheap. They're selling. They're buying low, and then they're waiting for it to run up a couple hundred points, and they're selling. So there's a lot.
If you're into index funds and long-term investment, now's a good time to put some money into it.
Right. Long-term wise, it's definitely a good investment. But they were saying that some of the people think it'll drop another 2,000 points before it stops. And
really?
I think from there it'll go back up again because people kind of settle down and be buying. There'll be a lot of buying opportunities. So I don't think it's as. I think what was interesting was that algorithm really just threw everything into overdrive, and it wasn't the individual investors or the human. It wasn't the human component of it. The human investors. It was the computers that made it go crazy. So I wonder, I can't wait till somebody has a sober talk about causing financial panic, algorithms causing financial panic. That would be a good, I would love to hear somebody who's in on exchanges talk about that.
They want to blame the algorithms, but computers only do what people tell them to do.
Well, yeah, but what if to me it was kind of like there was a collective agreement on a certain sell point for the algorithms across the board with the big hedge funds or something.
Right.
And they dump tons of stuff all at the same time. I don't know what you call that, but to me it caused panic. But when you play with the market, you got to be diversified is the main thing.
Diversified, yeah. And that's why index funds are so cool, because you don't have to worry about the specifics. You can just get into an index fund like the S&P 500 and have a pretty diversified portfolio right there.
So are there any stocks that we can buy in Tesla or David Bowie today? before people hear about David Bowie being launched into space?
Your guess is as good as mine, Tim.
I was thinking of starting a new cryptocurrency today called BowieX.
We absolutely could start our own cryptocurrency. Anybody can start one.
Yes, I think if we start BowieX and we say the inauguration today of BowieX on the Falcon launch, yeah, I think we would, the BowieX blockchain crypto.
You know what, man? I'm at the beach, and it's pretty cloudy.
Uh-oh.
I mean, I can see some blue sky, but I don't know if I'll be able to see the launch from here.
So are you going to walk around the beach and ask people, excuse me, sir, are you here for the Falcon X launch?
Actually, one of the parking areas that I just passed, it was packed. So maybe there are people out here for the launch. I'd be surprised if they weren't.
Well, we need to be a roving reporter. We need to have that ability to walk up and say, are you just loitering or are you here for the Falcon X launch? All right. So what's the count?
Myself, and our expansive audience. It's growing every day.
It's our expansive audience of Bowie fans.
If we have even just one person add themselves to our audience, we are technically the fastest growing show on YouTube. What is our last segment going to be about?
We could talk about the successful, just keep it out with the launch, that you went out there, that it was a dud for you, that it was, you could talk about how big this rocket was, and it's amazing, and then if you watched any of his conference, that too,
Well, let's see here.
Because what did we have? Did we have 10 or 15 minutes already just on that?
Yeah, I haven't gone back and looked at it yet.
Okay. It was funny. I mean, it was funny. We could just call this one the Elon Musk, adventure, journey into space with Elon Musk and David Bowie.
Elon Musk for men.
Elon Musk for men. There you go. That's a good title right there. Elon Musk for men.
So, this was the world's most powerful rocket.
Yes, it was. And it was an impressive launch. It didn't happen when you had planned it to happen, though.
It didn't. They delayed it by 2.5 hours, I think.
Yeah, I think they finally shot it off at about 3:40 something Eastern time.
2 hours and 10 minutes. Unfortunately, I couldn't wait. I had to get back home and be ready for work.
Did you get any interviews with the local beach bums? They're staring off into space.
I saw one old couple that were getting out of their car as I was getting out of my car, and I asked them, I go, hey, what brings you to the beach? They're like, oh, we want to see the launch. And at that time, they'd already pushed it back to like 2:20. And I told them, I go, a buddy of mine telling me that they're pushing that back till 2:20. I'm like, oh, well, you can't stay out that long. So they got back in their car.
Yeah, they just got to get a better sunscreen. That's all.
Yeah. Well, no, the lady had some stuff she had to be back for, but it's the way that these launches go. I've actually driven all the way out to the Cape for shuttle launches before. I've done it 3 times, and all 3 times it's been scrubbed till the next day or the next week or whatever. So I've never gotten to see a launch with my own eyes, but it hasn't been for lack of trying. Other than stepping out my door and seeing the small trail of the shuttle go up, I've been able to see that. But I did the same thing here when I got back to my place. I was looking for the Falcon, but I could not see it anywhere. Its trajectory must have taken it farther south, I believe.
Okay. So you're telling me that the space industry as a whole has poor customer relationship?
They're certainly not giving me a good user experience. That's for sure. I need to write Mr. Musk, let him know that.
Well, maybe Mr. Musk, maybe the Falconer has a little suggestion box on the side of the actual rocket. So
although I think I can forgive him after seeing that simultaneous booster rocket landing. That was impressive. Did you see that?
No, I missed that. That would have been impressive. I have to look that up.
That was friggin' impressive. These rockets, I don't know how tall they are. Well, let's see. How tall are the boosters? I mean, these things are huge. I mean, from the ground, you can see the top of them over the tree line. They're that big. And just seeing them come down simultaneously and landing, that was the most impressive sight. I mean, I haven't felt like that since, I don't want to say seeing the World Trade Centers collapse, because that was a very disturbing but impressive sight, seeing those towers collapse like that. But seeing these rocket boosters land as big as they were, simultaneous, and knowing that it's completely autonomous, it was just awe-inspiring.
Some major engineering feat, isn't it, with that much thrust and stuff to control it like that. Man. I couldn't imagine the little servos and stuff going off all over the place just to compensate.
There is nothing little about those things. In one picture, you can see a vehicle trail going up to the pads where they landed. It's just this tiny little thing. I mean, these rocket boosters are huge, and right now, for whatever reason, I can't find out how big.
Well, I definitely will tell you that Elon Musk is the Barnum and Bailey of our day, in the sense that he's a great promoter of events.
Yeah, and, I don't know if that is adequate to describe him. I would say he is our Howard Hughes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's even better. I like that. He's our Howard Hughes. He goes with his dreams and visions and makes them happen.
I mean, he is a visionary as much as anybody else is a visionary, but the man has the money to push forward his vision.
So what do you think? What do you think we're going to get out of this? Is this where's it going to go from here?
Well, it's the largest heavy lift rocket right now. They call it a super heavy lift rocket. So they can put payloads into low Earth orbit. I think I read a stat up to 63 tons. They can, I wish I had the stats in front of me. I wish I was more prepared for this, but let's see. Payload capacity history. Low Earth orbit is 63,000 kilograms. GTO, and I don't know what GTO means, but it's 26,700 kilograms. Mars, 16,800 kilograms, and Pluto, 3,500 kilograms.
Wow, it's an enormous capacity for this thing. I'm just wondering what they're going to transport.
So, like 63,000 kilograms, that's almost the equivalent. That's 10 tons shy or 11 tons shy of a fully loaded semi-tractor trailer.
That's an enormous amount of weight to propel into space.
It is, man. With this kind of capacity, I think I read somewhere they were kind of describing what they could get up there in capacity, and I think what they were describing for at least the moon is, now we can have lunar bases are realistically possible.
Okay. So as Musk is a private contractor or private business, do you think that this is going to be tailored towards corporations that are, what would you kind of, terraforming or something, or doing something with colonies?
I think the days, at least in the U.S., the days of government space program are over, and I actually think that this is probably the final death nail for NASA. We just haven't heard it yet.
Well, you can't blame. I mean, anybody looking at Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and how they're talking with Trump and all the others, they couldn't even order takeout from a drive-through menu. It's just, there's no way that they can function in any kind of intelligent capacity.
Well,
and so you see corporations are going to take over of the foolishness of our governments.
Well, our politics are so divisive now. Nobody wants to support a long-term goal, especially for space travel. The only long-term goal that we had that was successful was Kennedy's vision of setting a man on the moon. And that was only possible because of the space race with the Russians. Well, we don't really have a space race, so we don't have that impetus to make us cooperate with each other. So our political leaders are not going to cooperate for the time required to fulfill a space program, because they're ultimately going to be helping their competition, and they would just rather everybody die in a ball of fire before they give credit to their competition. So I think corporations are going to take over the quote unquote space program, and our government is just going to become another customer.
Right. Well, it makes sense. I mean, corporations have everybody on the payroll already, and if you don't play ball, you just get let go. Where the government, they don't. They're kind of pitted against each other, fighting in this basic stalemate to get nothing done. And so you're not going to innovate with that kind of model.
Hey, are you online with Skype?
I can get online with Skype, sure.
Get online. I just sent you a link that will impress the shit out of you.
Okay.
It's this link is an uncut, unedited version, and it's not narrated by news personalities. It is the launch in its entirety.
Mm-hmm.
And the cameraman is actually following the boosters that come back to land themselves. So you get to see them their entire time from liftoff back to landing. It is impressive, man.
So we're going to include this in the description box on YouTube underneath, so we can link this video so folks can watch after they listen to the podcast.
Yeah, we can definitely link it to our show.
Yeah, that sounds good. That way everybody can click on it and be impressed by these self-landing boosters.
Oh, you're going to be impressed if you have not seen them.
Where do you think that technology, I mean, it's just kind of just mind-boggling to have something so asymmetrical landing itself.
There's nothing asymmetrical about it. I mean, the technology is there, man.
Well, you know what I'm saying. Not a typical winged aircraft kind of thing.
Well,
for something to land itself.
It does have what they call, I think, finlets that give it aerodynamic controls, or limited aerodynamic controls. But the rest of the controls, and you'll see how it's controlling itself. The rest of the controls are coming from thrusters. So if it wants to move left, it does its left thruster. If it wants to move right, it does its right thruster, etc., etc. You'll see it.
Okay. All righty.
As far as landing, it's whatever fuel they have left over that they're using to land. And with the advancement in avionics and the advancement in miniaturization of avionics and gyros and all that stuff, yeah, man, it's definitely possible.
Well, very cool. It's quite an event, wasn't it? Basically, the build up to this, the successful launch, the showmanship of putting a Tesla car in space with a spaceman, and for the novelty of it,
right?
Which is funny.
Or maybe there's something more sinister there. Maybe, and this is the conspiracy guy coming out in me. Maybe we're sending a message to our alien overlords saying we're just not going to take it anymore. We are here. We have arrived. And here's a car, man. We're just throwing a car at you. Fuck you.
So you're saying that we're saying to E.T. that went home that, hey, man, we're in the driver's seat now.
That's right. If you want to look at that Roadster with the Starman in it, yeah. Absolutely. We are in the driver's seat. Maybe, maybe that's, on a serious note though, maybe that's what Elon Musk was conveying to the rest of the world, that he is in the driver's seat, at least as a captain of industry. He is in the driver's seat. And the Tesla, the electric car, is where it's at now.
So
did you watch that video?
Not yet.
Oh,
do you want me to watch it now?
You gotta watch it now, man. Gotta watch it now.
I am watching it now. Let's see if David Bowie shows up in here. No David Bowie yet. But this is like an 8-minute video, man. Do you want to sit here and wait for me to watch this thing?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I'm gonna watch it with you.
There it goes. Man, it was such an interesting shaped. Man, that's just some serious power there.
Oh yeah. Heaviest lift capability on the planet, right there.
It's like they're lifting off the Magic Kingdom right there. You can see the princess or Rapunzel in the top tower.
GTO means geostationary transfer. So if we go back and look at its lift capability, it is 26,700 kilograms to geotransfer orbit. And I think geotransfer orbit might have implications for the moon.
Isn't it interesting that these rockets, the length of these, the flames coming out of them, it just looks so much bigger than what they do, what NASA used to do. It has a whole different signature to it, you know?
It does. I'm sure they've improved the technology, and I'm sure. I would guess. I haven't looked at it, but I would guess that that rocket, its weight to thrust ratio is probably better than the Saturn V.
It's funny because it looks like the tail section is fully engulfed, and they use the angle shots. But that is just a wild, unbelievable. See that burn? Wow. Well, it's flaming out right now, getting more of a trail, a smoke trail now. Looks like separation. Yeah.
So here's an interesting fact. The Falcon Heavy has a liftoff thrust of 5 million pounds. The Saturn V had a liftoff thrust of 7.6 million pounds.
What's interesting is these boosters, just watching them work in the air with the different bursts, the different pulsing of their stabilizers.
Right.
While they're maneuvering on the way down, it's just a trip. Because you're always just used to seeing them just fall.
Right. Oh, it was interesting watching them operate. And what you need to understand, if I'm correct, is that it's completely autonomous. They're doing that using purely their flight computers.
So is the autonomous AI stuff set up on the actual boosters, or is it relayed from somewhere else?
I can't answer that, but I would assume that it's probably an onboard flight computer.
I would imagine it's because if you lose the signal, you're just going to crash.
Right.
So it must be something on board that senses and stabilizes.
Oh, yeah.
It's just absolutely fascinating. So you have a carpenter's level on there, with the little bubble in the middle. And you got to keep the bubble in the middle.
Oh, it's a bit more sophisticated than that, man.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't get more. That's my level. Oh, notice the plunge? That's my level.
You see how the reaction controls are firing off, keeping them
Yeah,
stable?
the little pulses, isn't that fascinating watching these little bursts? And we've seen that in sci-fi movies. The little rocket pulsers just pulsing around the ships, moving them.
Yeah, there's a video game called Kerbal Space Program that I've played, and you get to use reaction control systems like that. It's a pretty interesting game, and it gives you a good understanding of what it takes to get a rocket up, what it takes to get stuff down. So this is very impressive watching this, and to know that it's real. I mean, this is up until yesterday, this was just sci-fi level engineering. Well, that's not true. I mean, they've been working on these rockets for a while now. Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah, I'm watching it, man.
Yeah, a bunch of little pulses there.
Wait till they start getting closer. It's going to get even more impressive. I think probably the most impressive sight was watching them after they detached and they reoriented themselves and they started doing their burn back to the Cape, because they're going east at that point. They're supersonic, and they detach from the main rocket, and they've got to turn around and burn, slow down, and then accelerate coming back west. That is impressive as hell.
It's amazing GPS. Wow, look at the entry burn.
Right now, if you start looking at the top of the booster, you're going to see 3 dark objects at the top. Those are those air fins. They're more like grates, and what they do is they pivot.
Wow, look at it coming down.
Yeah.
Gee. Oh, it's firing.
Yeah, here we go. And look at that rocket gimbal.
Wow, look at that. It's putting down the... Oh, wow.
Now look how big that thing is. You can still see it above the tree line. That thing is not small, man.
There's the second one coming down right next to it?
Yep.
Oh, there it is.
Still standing up?
Yep, there it is.
Sonic boom. That's insane. That's worth being right there at Cape Canaveral just to watch that. I mean, that's stuff you've never seen before.
That's science fiction right there, man.
Pure sci-fi. That's just like how watching the Star Wars movies where they come into the land at the different ports.
Mm-hmm.
That's just crazy.
Yeah. You sound like you're impressed. I'm glad I could share that to you.
Yeah, thanks.